Welcome to another live stream. Today we're going to be discussing racist vegans and the most racist vegans on the internet, to be specific. They aren't who you'd expect them to be, actually. And today we are joined by VegCeps, who's here to discuss this, who the most racist vegans on the internet are and what we as vegans should be doing about it, basically. VegCeps is a vegan and an animal rights activist, a YouTuber based in the USA, who recently on this topic, actually, on this exact topic. You can find the link to his video titled "The Most Racist Vegan on the Internet" in the description. And we're actually going to get into and discuss that video in detail in this live stream. So let's invite VegCeps to the stream and let's kick off. Let's get right into it. Welcome, man. Thank you for joining the stream.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. So before we dive into the main body of what we're going to discuss today, I'd like people to get a bit of an idea of kind of who you are, what you're about. So I guess we could kick off with tell us a bit about what inspired you to go vegan, and also what's inspired you to get out and start speaking so unapologetically about what happens to the animals, and about animal rights.
So what started it for me was nothing special, but really different to what I'd expect from anyone else. So I've always liked animals. When I was younger, I would always go to the library, read books about them. And every time I would go to the park or something when I was younger, I'd always ask people to pet their dogs. I remember a while back when I wasn't vegan, I had helped these cats because they were strays. So I think it was just something that was destined for me and really consistent with my values. And even when I wasn't vegan, but I was younger, I saw a kid kick an ant pile. I would say, why would you do that? There's no reason to do that whatsoever. And I think it was back when I was 12, maybe my late 12s or early 13s. I thought, dang, I'm eating a lot of animals. I'm like, I wonder where these products are coming from. So it was just a really random thought. So I started doing some research into it, and then I found out about veganism, which I didn't even know what it was. I didn't really have an opinion on it then. But I really, once I found out about that, I strived to stop eating animals. And once I found out that eating eggs and dairy was no different, I strived to not eat that as well. So I came across vegan games, I came across Earthlings, and just educated myself from the get-go. And most people would say they're against animal abuse, but their actions say something totally different than their values. So for me, it was just all about aligning my actions with my values that I already had.
Damn. It's nice. It's nice how I think I empathize with you, and I think I had a similar kind of, when I was young, I was making those same kind of points that you're making, where it's you start to see, you help animals and you start to realize that way, I'm helping animals in one way, but I'm harming them in these other ways. And, that's kind of, I think it's a really good way for someone to come to veganism, as opposed to coming to veganism through I don't know, I heard it was healthy, or I heard it was good for the planet. I think this is definitely the strongest way to arrive at that, that conclusion. And you've got here really early as well, right? In terms of your age. I mean, you're 17 now. And when did you actually go vegan?
It was either 12. I think, well, I was introduced to it at the age of around 12, but I think I went vegan officially when I was 13.
Officially, is this was it not when you say you think, do you mean it wasn't a strong, because right now you're very unapologetic, you're 100%, I've seen your posts, I've seen your videos, you are very, very strong, your messaging is very strong. So back then, do you mean you were kind of entertaining the idea when you were 12 or 13? Or
once I saw what the horrors of animal agriculture, either way I was going to be going vegan, but it was just hard at first because none of my family members are vegan. I had no motivation from them or anything like that, and I just had to start cooking my own food, things like that, buying things from what my family was eating, things like that. But so it was just a transition that was hard. But the more and more I watched what these animals were going through and seeing what I was eating, it really makes it easy to make that connection and stop supporting that. You can't just constantly look at something like that and say, okay, this is something I'm going to keep supporting. At least if you're a sane person in your right mind.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you're in your right mind, I think that's it's a brutal truth, but man, I agree with you completely. And you mentioned your family there, family and friends. I mean, I want to say this one more time, guys. If you've not been on VegCeps YouTube or Instagram, I mean, dude, the posts that you're putting out there, they are strong. Like, they are very, very unapologetic. At times controversial and definitely offensive to a lot of people, right? You're really not holding back on how you speak about things. Like, as a 17-year-old, do you get a lot of pushback from family and friends for speaking so strongly on these topics?
Um, well, I'm already kind of isolated, so I don't think that's an issue anyway.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. You mean like you don't are you an introvert normally? Is that what you mean? Or like
I'm not an introvert, but just
okay.
don't surround myself with, people I don't think are good to be around. Just supportive
Okay.
people. And if supportive people aren't there, then, then there's no one, You just gotta, yeah.
I get it, man.
Hopefully
I
that,
get
I
it.
mean, hopefully that changes soon. I'm getting involved with PETA SOS, which is Students Opposing Speciesism, and I'm
Okay.
going to be a club leader. So hopefully I can get involved with some other vegans and things like that.
Sure,
So that's
man.
going to be
Sure, yeah.
interesting to see.
Build a bit of more of a community. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there feeling like, yeah, like kind of siloed off as well, and building a community really helps with that for sure. So we are let's jump into the topic, right? So I think that was a great intro to who you are, what you're about, and then we're going to get into the main topic now. Before we get into the answer to the question, who are the most racist vegans on the internet, before we start to address that and look at some of the examples of what we've been seeing and some actual, blatant, well, I think are blatant examples of racist vegans. I think we need to tackle a problem that happened between you and another vegan, and it's vegan drama, guys. I'm sorry, but I feel it's important we get into this because it's part of what we're going to discuss today. We're discussing racism within veganism. And dude, you had a live stream with Vegan Gains. You were involved in a live stream chat with Lifting Vegan Logic, and in both of these places, you had been making the claim that Isaac, Ask Yourself, another vegan YouTuber, well known, you made a claim that was pretty hard, that he's a hard racist. Like you
Yeah.
made this claim, and it was never backed. It was never backed by anything. It's kind of been left out there as like, some people, or many people, I think, including myself, were a bit confused as to where that claim even came from and why it was never backed up. Why you didn't get into, why did you not accept the debate or discussion with him? And it was a bit of a mess, right? It was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
That the live stream with Vegan Gains ended in a really bad way, and I don't think it would be sensible for us to continue, and I don't want to continue until we've kind of really established like what happened, or whether you still stand by that, or whether you want to retract that, basically, the claim that Isaac is racist, basically. So, how are you standing on this now, man?
Yeah, for sure. I've changed my decision since then. I don't think he's racist. I think there's some things that he said in the past that I thought was racist.
Okay.
But by my own logic, there's people who think that I've said racist things in the past. So if he's a racist because I think he said something racist in the past, then by my own logic, that would also mean that I'm a racist because someone thinks that, I said something racist in the past. So
Right. Right.
just to be consistent, I don't consider myself a racist by any means. So
Okay.
I can't really justify calling him a racist and saying that he's racist just because he
Yeah.
said something that I found that was racist in the past. So um,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, the drama and stuff between other animal rights activists is just the most counterproductive thing to me, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know it's a terrible thing because it just recently happened to me. And the only difference was when it happened to me, like someone making false claims, another animal rights activist making false claims, it was actually someone who I had 24 mutual followers with. So
Right.
I mean, so they were clearly trying to get people to unfollow me and defriend
Yeah.
me,
Yeah. 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 Yeah, man.
but they didn't back it up. And I did the same, and they didn't like when I messaged them about it. Like, do you want to hear the whole story? You want to know the truth? They just completely ignored it. And I think that's kind of what I did with Ask Yourself and
Yeah.
Miss Isaac. And that's a really, dishonest thing to do because when somebody does it to you, it's like
Oh,
it's a messy thing to do.
it's
You
brutal, man. It's
yeah,
brutal when they do it to you.
can't
Yeah.
like debunk it or anything. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I'm constantly changing myself, bettering myself. So I hope the person who made the false claims about me changes their opinion in the future. But yeah, I don't want to be like that. Those type of people who just make false claims and then run away. So
Sure. So are you saying, just to, I just want to clarify, are you saying that you thought in the past you thought he'd said something racist, but now you don't think it was racist, or is that what you're? Is that are you retracting that completely, or are you saying that he did say something that you felt was racist, but now you kind of you're over it? Like, which is it? Did you make a mistake, or do you think
I
he
think
actually did say something that you would say is racist?
um, I don't know. I like what he said. That would be something that we'd have to go into deeper discussion about.
Okay.
I think it could be considered racist, but it's not really something that I care about. But yeah, I think it could be considered racist.
You think it could be? All
Yeah.
right. So, yeah, it's a tough one because this is
Wait, but like that's what I was saying. Like, sorry to cut you off, but that's what I was saying. Like,
yeah.
I've said
Okay.
something that some people think that could have been racist in the past, and like that doesn't automatically mean I'm a racist. So I can't say just because I thought it was racist what he said, that doesn't mean he's actually a racist. So
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to like understand it because I think it's important for him, and obviously for I mean I put it this way, right? For this person who was talking about you, and if they were talking about you now and they've said that horrible shit, I've had it done to me as well. If they then came out and said, actually, do you know what? I take it back. My bad. I fucked up. But I still think what he said was racist. You wouldn't be happy, right? You'd be like, no, like either I am or I am not. You'd say, I would too. I'd be like, no, 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 no. Like it's not. Am I kind of? You kind of still feel the same way. I want to know, 100%. Like what you know what I mean? Like I would want to know. Did you make a mistake and you're apologizing, or are you still trying to put this on me after trying to like cancel me out basically? You know what I mean? That's what I'd be asking. So I think that's what Isaac would probably also be asking if he was here right now. That's what I'm trying to get from you basically. Is that it is either one or the other. I feel like it's either it's a mistake and I shouldn't have said it and he's not and I fucked up, or it's that he is and I said it what I said. I think it has to be one or the other, man, to be honest with you. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
mean to
yeah.
put it up
So
pressure on you here, but I think
yeah,
it does need to be one or the other.
yeah. So on his behalf, I don't think like for me, what he said, I thought it was a little bit racist. I thought it, you know, uh, that's something that could be like deep, like go into a deeper level of discussion. But on his behalf, I don't think it had racist intentions whatsoever. And it's like the same thing with the vegan teacher video. I don't think it had racist intentions, but I didn't really agree with it. So
Right.
for that reason, no, I don't think he's a racist. I don't think what he said had racist intentions. But I think it
Okay.
could be argued that what he said specifically was racist, but I don't think it had racist intentions. So
So okay, so you say you don't agree with what he said,
yeah.
but what he said isn't necessarily racist. It needs to be discussed as to clarify whether or not it was, but you just don't agree with it. Is that basically what we're saying here? You just don't agree with something he said. Is that am I right? Is that what we're saying? Like the same way you don't agree with what that vegan teacher said, but it's not racist. You don't agree with what he said, but
No,
it's not
I'm
racist.
I'm saying like I don't think he had racist intentions, but I think
Okay.
what he said specifically, what he said, it could be argued that that was racist. But I don't think like what he said had racist intentions behind it.
All right. Okay. All right. I still think that you guys need to get this hashed out. I mean, I'm not gonna invite him on because I don't think I don't think this is the point right now to get into this. But I do think you guys could do with hashing that out a bit further because yeah, it is. I do have to just revisit what I've said one more time to say like I think it's either that you retract the statement and it's in debate language, either you retract the statement and concede that okay, I shouldn't have done that, it wasn't that, or you stand by the statement and you say no, I still think he is. I feel like we are still in this little gray area in the middle. I do feel like this has to be clear cut, black or white, for it to be dealt with. I would really love to deal with it right now, but I don't want to hang on this point for too much longer, really. Are you and again, I don't want you to say something that you don't believe for the sake of dealing with this, but I do think, yeah, I do want to ask you one more time. I think it has to be a case of like either yeah, I don't stand by what I said, I retract what I said about Isaac, or I do stand by what I
Oh yeah,
said
for
and
sure,
he
man.
is.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
so
sure.
you retract the statement. Is that
Yeah,
you retract it? Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
fine. All right then. Well, yeah. Then you guys could definitely get back into that with go and have a one-to-one with him on a. I would stream with him if I were you, man. I think you seem back then I don't think it would have been a good idea, but now I'd say you guys could get into this and you could discuss what you found to be inappropriate if there was
Yeah.
anything, and get into it a little bit further with him. But yeah, I appreciate you accepting kind of that what happened and dealing with it now, and coming around the full circle, because what we're going to get into now, and you're talking about how you've been falsely accused of something, right? And I'm going to guess it came from the same individuals that we're now going to talk about, because these individuals that these same individuals, they've come for me, they've come for Isaac, they've come for Earthling Ed, they've come for Joey Carbstrong, they've come for James Aspie. Now they've come for you. Do you know what, dude? In the past, when you guys were on that live stream together, and the way you were acting, Vegan Gains and Isaac and probably most people would have said that you would have been part of that team, that group. I know, dude, you're shaking your head, right? But this is what they do. They shout racist at people, right? And they attack people with claims without backing them. And then when they're pushed for a debate, they leave. They won't do it. And and you shook your head like that pissed you off, dude. That would piss me off. If someone told me I'm anything like these people we're about to talk about, I'd be fucking angry, man. So I really, again, I appreciate you coming here and dealing with this, and I hope that you will follow through and deal with it, and speak to Isaac, because I'm sure he'd also like to talk about this, and especially now that you've retracted that statement. I'm sure now he'd be way more likely to open to a conversation, because it's an accusation like that, it's big, man. It's a big accusation to make. So I appreciate you dealing with it and retracting it. So let's talk about the main topic, right? We're talking about the most racist vegans on the internet. And I said in the description, and I said in the intro, that it's not who you would expect. And because when people hear racist, right, they think, white supremacists, they think KKK, they think there's vegan Nazis, right? Oh, there's vegan Nazis. They're going to talk about those guys. And yeah, all right, yeah, they would probably be the most racist vegans if we're going to talk about the ones who are so blatantly, disgustingly racist. But I think the main difference is what's accepted and what's not. And those guys, no one accepts them, right? They are very much not accepted in the community, whereas the people we're about to talk about, they're very much accepted in the community. And that's why you made these videos about them. And in your video titled "The Most Racist Vegan on the Internet," you focused on that group. And this within the vegan movement, these are vegans within the vegan movement. So could you explain to people now then, or give people the answer, who are these people that you were talking about in your video? And, tell us why you believe that they're racist, the kind of things they're saying, like who are these people that you were making the video about?
Well, I'm not going to say they're intersectional vegans, but they're the people of that group of discussion. And the problem is not intersectionality, it's inconsistency. And these people who want vegans to cross over, speak about civil rights and black rights and everything else, they're just trying to draw attention to their own movement and things like that. But they're not going to go to those same people who are fighting for black rights and ask them to fight for animal rights. So it's like, the issue is not intersectionality at all. It's just these people being inconsistent and inconsiderate of the animals. And yeah, I think that's the group we're going to be tackling. And because recently it's, in the social justice community, it's become like kind of popular to just trash on the white skin color. And I'm not with that, because it's like, how are you going to counter racism by fueling it? That's all that's going to do is the anti-white stuff. It's completely crazy. And like the white vegans, I'm so glad that I could be like present in this time when people are using race against vegans. Like that's like, it's more possible for a white person to be vegan or something of that sort. Like it's some privileged thing. No, anybody can do it. You're either selfish or you're not. Anybody can do this.
Yeah, and the video that you made, you focused on one specific vegan in one of the videos. You focused on a few vegans in other videos. So to make it really clear now, so intersectionality, for those of you that don't know what this is, what's an intersectional? Just to clarify, there are individuals out there let's talk about the theory behind it. The intersectional theory is the theory that somebody can, and it's a true theory, they can experience multiple forms of oppression at the same time. So for example, if someone is a black person, a black male, then they would potentially experience racism. If they were black and female, they would experience racism and sexism. This is what intersectionality means: is intersecting oppressions because of the identity. And I find it hard to argue against that. I mean, if you know, of course, it seems to be just logical that yes, okay, if someone is a racist, sexist, then they're gonna be that way to more towards towards people that hold the I don't know the skin color and the gender they don't like, right? Of course, this is just logic, right? It's sensible to assume that. But where these intersectional vegans take it is they make demands, as VegCeps was saying, that vegans should be bringing in all of these different issues and fighting for them all kind of on a level playing field, basically. And if we're not, then we're bad, basically. That's the idea. But they don't turn it on its head and go to like Black Lives Matter activists, for example, and say you should be fighting for the animals. It's only vegans that they come for. They don't go for anyone else. So then, so that's the kind of people talking about, and the whole white hating part. So I actually have some kind of, let's say, evidence of this. I did a little search on Twitter just before we started. Now I don't want to cancel anyone out here, which is why we've decided not to focus on the same people that VegCeps made the videos on, because it's like they've already been talked about in his video. Let's not nail them again. But we still need to show you an example of like what we're talking about here, right? So I did a little Twitter research before we kicked off to give you some idea of what we're going on about here. So this is only the last couple of weeks that I found these screenshots from, all right? Like I took these just before we started. So here's one. I hate white vegans and just most vegans in general, I say as a vegan, right? So, again, just think about that for a second. I hate white vegans. Can you imagine that if white was exchanged for any other ethnicity? Can you imagine? That would be off Twitter. It would be gone in a second. They would be banned, right? I don't know. Do you think they would get banned for that if it was another ethnicity?
They wouldn't get banned, but I'm sure they would get sworn by a bunch of the SJWs, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And then there was a sanctuary that was telling people, just stop talking. This is to a white person. You have no relevant expertise or experience. Just be quiet and listen to what vegans of color and actual experts on racism have to say about what you and other white vegans need to do. So again, it's like your skin color is this, so you must listen to what we say and do what we tell you. So that was another one. This one is very similar to what the person in your video was saying. If I had $1 for every time I had to remind non-black people to not call me queen or sis, I'd have enough money to order Chipotle for lunch today and tip the driver $600. And this is not a necessarily vegan comment, but it's from a vegan. This is a vegan saying, having a problem with people who aren't black calling them queen or cis, basically. Which you talked about that quite a lot in your video, right? How the person in your video said that they actually would prefer to be called a slur, right, rather than be called queen or cis. They would rather be approached in that way. Why do you think? Like that this seems to be a trend, because the person in your video said that, this person's saying that, I've seen it before, and the people saying like, oh, I'd rather be called a slur than queen or cis by a white person. But then those same people will most likely get offended when Miss Katie made that video where she used the N-word, they would get really, really offended with that video. But then in the same breath, they're saying, oh, I'd rather you call me a slur than call me queen or cis. Like, what's going on with that, man? Do you have any idea? Like, in your video, you said you felt this was like one of the clearest examples of racism, right? Tell us, like, what do you think's going on there?
That was a very uncalled for and like just all out unnecessary statement to make. The only thing you're going to accomplish by making statements like that is dividing people. It's like, do you want to end racism? Do you want to divide? Do you want to bring the races together, or do you want to divide people? Because that's all that's doing is dividing people. Why would I care if you called me bro or anything and say I would rather you call me a slur? That's absolutely insane. It's just not a true statement. And that's another thing. I don't think that's a true statement. That's just them being super stubborn because I don't know. Because of their values on this or their opinions on this situation or whatever. I think it has something to do with this so-called like black slang language, which I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Right. But I think it has something to do with that. Like white people can't use black slang or things like that and share the same, words that we use to interact with each other. And I think part of that would even come down to the the N word with the A instead of the ER. And
Right. Okay.
Vegan Games did some talk about this, how saying the N word with the A instead of the ER is actually no different. They just had to put the A on there because of, rap music culture. And I didn't know that before. So I think that's actually a pretty interesting fact that people should know. There's really no difference between the words. And I don't use that, against other black people. I don't call people that because I think the words are stupid anyway. I don't think they should be used. But I don't care if someone really calls me that if there's no racist intention.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is like, with the way the A has been normalized, it is like more comfortable for someone to use that word. I don't think anyone's going to say that word with the ER and without if they're not doing it with racist intention. I think that
Yeah.
if you're saying it with the ER, you're definitely using it for racist intention. But I'm not going to make a big deal if I get called the N word with the A just because of how it's been normalized, and I know it doesn't hold any racist intention. But I think it just comes
Sure.
down to they're saying that this is their language or whatever, and they don't want others to kind of speak it and use that slang, which is insane. It's uncalled for. It's just going to divide races. So
Yeah, it's I find that it's an interesting kind of like a I don't know if you call it a paradigm. I don't know. It's that the ones who are fighting the most, claiming to fight the most to end oppression and to end racism, are actually doing it like a lot. Like one of those tweets that we saw. Like I mean, let's take a look. Actually, I got some examples of where this leads. Okay, so this one's like white vegans shut up challenge. So it's, shut up if your skin color is this. Um, this one talking about the loud minority of dipshit white vegans online. So again, just kind of, there's a lot of just like putting people into a box because of the skin color. And we're going to get to a really interesting one in a minute. This one was Happy Earth Day to everyone except vegans who do blah, blah, blah. And especially not white vegans who shame indigenous people, which is like, I'm sure I'm sure there are different ethnicities who also shame indigenous people. Why are you singling out the skin tone of one group? And then the other thing I wanted to mention here, this is where it can lead to, right? So these people aren't vegans, but these are people who've clearly been influenced by this whole like you said earlier on, this whole anti-white people, anti-white vegan thing. I think white vegans should only try to convince other whites to be vegan. That is literally a call for segregation, right? That's like, you want us to segregate again. You want to regress if you want that. I couldn't believe I saw that. And that's not only it, right? There's more. There's white vegans are a disease. White vegans are a stain on society. White vegans are fucking stupid, literally one brain cell. Like, I'm sorry, but these are the kind of things you would expect to hear, like, a couple of 100 years ago, coming from white people talking about basically anyone who wasn't white, right? Like, these are like scary. So, okay, we were on to the topic. I wanted to get into Miss Katie because this video was the most racist vegans on the internet, and I guess a lot of people would have been thinking, oh, we're probably going to talk about that vegan teacher because she did the video with the N word, right? Now, like, do you personally believe you did a live with Miss Katie? I don't know what you guys talked about. I didn't manage to catch it, but do you think that the use of that word and what she did with that video, do you think that was racist? Do you think Miss Katie was racist in that video or that she is a racist?
no, she's not. She's definitely not a racist. She's very nice to everybody, no matter who you
Definitely.
are. She's very nice. But um, I don't know. I think if I went over it with her and like deeper, I think it could change her perspective, but I don't know, dude. A word like that, it doesn't matter how you say it. It's not going to be nice.
Yeah.
And when people looked at that video from the get-go, all people were going to do was use it against her and say, oh, she's racist. So this is just more of a reason to deflect animal rights. This is more of a reason for me to keep eating animals because a vegan is racist, things like
Right.
that. So that's what I said. It wasn't a smart thing to post publicly because people are just going to take it out of context. They're going to use it against you. And the entire gaming community is racist anyways. They
Right.
joked around for a couple of years talking about the N-word pass and like that's a joke or anything. So they did the same thing. The only difference is Miss Katie tried to make it a nice word and all of a sudden they're angry about it.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
themselves.
I had people that were like, most people were just kind of like, it doesn't matter what she was trying to say. It matters that she used the word. Like that's all that matters. It's like no matter what context it's used in, if you use it, then you're a racist. This is what people were saying, which is, it's very just nonsensical, right? But like vegans were so quick as well, right? Vegans were very quick to jump on Miss Katie and join in the battle, against her and accuse her of racism. And but these same people almost definitely completely miss the blatant, like what seems to be, I don't know, blatant racism to me from these intersectional ideologue vegans. Now I say ideologue because intersectionality and intersectionals in general, they're not, like you said, they're not all like bad, and they're not all trying to do this cancel culture shit, but the ideologues are. And an ideologue is basically someone who it's ideologically driven. It's like everything that supports their agenda they will support, right? So for example, canceling someone, it's like, well, according to my ideology, they deserve it, so I'm going to take them down. I'm like gonna, or like white vegans, well, all white vegans are this, and this is my ideology, so I'm going to go. It's like an ideologue. It's like, that's what it means, basically. The ones who go and try and cancel, or the ones who are like obsessed with their ideology and go taking it to the extreme. That's what an ideologue is. So why do you think people are so quick to jump on Miss Katie for saying something nice and not trying to hurt anyone, but actually they completely give a free pass to these ideologues who are directly calling for things like segregation, basically, between vegans, or for white vegans to shut the fuck up, and like directly trying to like, do these things? Where is this double standard coming from, do you think? Why are they doing it that way?
Well, you see, when you have a lot of people who are attacking one person, you get the idea that this person is super terrible, and that seems to be the case with that vegan feature. But they're not doing their research, they're not interacting with her, so they don't know what she's really like. And I got that feeling a bit because I was seeing all this stuff about her. I didn't even know she was a real activist at first. I thought she was just a comedian, doing
Right.
it for fun, doing it
Yeah.
for clicks on TikTok, because that's how everyone knows about it, is because of TikTok. I thought it was just a publicity stuff for fun. But interacting with her, seeing what she's really about, you see it's the complete opposite. So I'd say just do your own research, actually interact with the person, and don't
Yeah.
just skip the conclusions. But it's also the tons of people who are just ganging up on a 56-year-old vegan woman. Like, you need this many people to try and bring one person down. What are you guys
Yeah.
doing with your lives? you know.
Yeah.
But it's coming down to just the army of people who are making false claims about her. They're making claims that she assaulted someone, went to
Oh yeah.
jail,
It's just
ate
jail.
meat, all this nonsense, and they get away with it, because everybody's in on it. They get away with it. You can see similar cases unrelated to animal rights or veganism where it's just fun to hate on one specific person, even if that person's not really that bad. A
Mm.
bunch of people will just hate on them. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the fitness industry, but you'll see guys like Brad Castleberry, and everyone will be like fake weights, like everywhere.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like, nothing on social media is very realistic anyway. It's like, what do you expect? But people will only go after one person if it's popular to talk down on them.
Sure.
So these people just can't think for themselves, is what I'd say. They can't think for themselves. And they're not
Yeah.
consistent because they're not going to call out racism when their own group is perpetuating it, and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Just
terrible.
it's like following the masses, basically, and obviously the masses are not going after the people that are calling, like the like you said at the beginning, there's a kind of a trend of like white hatred, so it's not popular to call out the people who are like calling for segregation, basically, like, oh, white vegans should only talk to white vegans and black vegans can talk to, like, there's no call, people aren't calling them out because it's like that's not, that's like, it's popular to talk like that, but it's not popular to talk like Miss Katie talks. So they go for Miss Katie because it's popular, and they don't go for these people, even though these people are causing far more harm than Miss Katie is causing by saying we should rebrand this hateful, cruel word, right? She's definitely, I mean, obviously, she's probably caused some harm to some people, but the intention was never to do that. Whereas with these individuals, their intention does seem to be to cause harm. Like they want white people to suffer. It's clear, isn't it? Like that's what they're doing, with a lot of the things they say. And another concept getting onto this as well. The second video that I watched of yours was about white veganism, and these intersectional ideologues have created this as this concept that there is a thing that's called white veganism. It exists. It's like according to them, like a concept, right? So let me define what they define it as. It's when white vegans fail to denounce white supremacy and focus solely on animal liberation. That is the definition that it was in a TikTok video. So
Yeah,
it's not the
yeah.
official
So,
definition. It's about
you
us.
know, it was actually like all vegan. So they're saying because one of the claims that was made in there was that not all white people vegans are white vegans, when in fact all white people vegans are white vegans. So it just didn't fit their definition. So it's saying like if you're, I guess I can be a white vegan, you're a black vegan, but you're ignoring racism thing. Then apparently you're white vegan.
You have, sorry, man, we've lost you a little bit there. You've gone a little bit pixelated. I think
Uh,
the connection on your side might be a little dodgy. We've lost your video completely right now, by the way. If you can still hear me. This is not, man, the streaming gods are not being good to us today. Okay, you're kind of back now, but it's like watching you on a webcam from 2010. It's like really like stuttering and everything. Can you try talking? See if your
that cut
audio's still
out for
coming through. Oh, you complete. Yeah. You must.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. It's like out of sync and very poor quality right now on your side.
For real?
Oh yeah. Like it's like super delayed as well. Like you said for real, and I don't think your mouth has even moved yet. Oh wait, it may be back now. It seems a bit smoother. Try talking.
Is it good?
Yes, it's very good. Yeah. But there might be a bit of a delay between me and you. So, sorry, just repeat what you were saying. So, you talked about how they said not all white vegans are white. Was it? They were saying? Is that what you were? Just
Yeah,
repeat that point
not
again
all.
because we missed it.
Yeah, so they were saying not all white people vegans are white vegans to fit their narrative of that, which is basically if you're ignoring all other forms of injustices and focusing only on the biggest injustice, which is what animals endure. So
Right. Right.
basically, by their logic, you can be not even white and be a white vegan, which is impossible. That's just, it's stupid. And the leader of that, as you saw in my video, the leader of that video, if we're talking about that specific video, she's not even
Yeah.
vegan. She's an animal abuser, and she even
Yeah.
literally buys shoes with animal skin on it and takes pictures with them and brags about how good she thinks she looks. And nobody calls that out, not even the vegan she collabs with. It's like, how can inconsiderate of animals can you be? You're going to collab with someone who's actively paying for animals to be abused and murdered and things like that, but you claim to be against it? Would you
Yeah.
do a collab video with a racist or something like that? You know, these people aren't holding the same values that they hold for any other injustice that they're holding for animals. It's disgusting. So I
Yeah.
don't
You're
even. They're
right,
not
man.
even animal rights activists. They're not even people who are really passionate about seeing change as far as animal rights goes. They don't want to see change. They just want to pretend that they want to see change and that they're on our side when in reality they're not.
Yeah, I think this is something that when I watched one of your videos, it really I got it. It clarified something for me that I kind of agree with you. I always wondered, like, some of these people, like, what is their goal? Like, what is the reason they're doing this? Why are they coming? I thought maybe they just want attention, right? Or maybe they just want to get famous. But you said something. You said they actually want to use the animal rights movement to further their own causes that they really care about, and actually that makes a shitload of sense. And the more I thought about it, like you said it just now too, the more I was like, fuck, that actually is it's a solid theory, because it does seem like they step on veganism to get to the point that they want to get to with their other things that they care more about. And like you just said there, when these individuals aren't even vegan, which two of the people in that video, by the way, not just one, two of the people in that video we're talking about on TikTok aren't vegan. And I'm not gonna drop names in here, because at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter who they are. But the point is that there's especially one of them that is very well known as this big intersectional vegan, and he's a very much an ideologue, and it's known
Um,
that he's not a vegan, like he's not, but he is positioning himself as a vegan, that calls out other vegans because it needs to be done for the greater good. And dude's not even a vegan himself. And he's doing it. Yeah, I think I agree with you that to position himself so that he can progress his own things that he cares more about, not actually to help the animals, right? Definitely. And one more thing, you talked about white veganism as well, and we talked about how they've tried to redefine the words white veganism, like white veganism, to not mean skin color. They're trying to make it so that it doesn't mean skin color anymore. It means something else. This is a really, really common tactic that these groups have been doing. They try to rewrite language to fit their agenda, because it is fucking racist and offensive to say, if you are white, you act this way. And they realize once people call it out, like, wait a minute, that's kind of racist. And they're like, oh, no. We're not meaning skin color. We're meaning like, it's like it's just a name we give to this concept. And it's like, you don't just get to, no, no, that's not how it works. You clearly mean it because of skin color. Clearly, you're just trying to, like, once it's been pointed out to you that it's kind of fucked up, you try to change the narrative, right? Change what the words mean. Just like they've tried to change, the same kind of groups have tried to change what black means, right? They tried to make it a capital B so that it's not that, for example, it's not like you are a black person. It's like, no, if you are not acting in a specific way, politically, behaviorally, if you don't agree with them on certain things, then they can kind of claim that you're not black. Have you heard this before? Like, this is actually, starting to happen more and more, like, now, that if you don't act the way that they think you should act, then you technically can't call yourself black, or you've got like internalized white supremacy and you're not actually, black. And it's like, no, like, you are, like, your ethnicity is that's what you are. You can't take that away from someone because they don't agree with you. Just the same way as you can't put it on someone that doesn't agree with you and say it's because of your color of your skin. That's why you don't, you know what I mean? This is the way you're acting that way because of your skin, or you're not acting that way. Therefore, you're not allowed to call yourself black. It's crazy, but they're doing it, and getting away with it to a large extent. Have you seen that before? Like, have you seen the kind of the capitalization of the word black and how they've kind of made it more of a political statement rather than an ethnicity? Have you heard that before?
I'm not really familiar with that, but I am familiar with what you were saying before. It's like, if you're black and you don't act a certain way, they're trying to determine like how you should act just because you're black, or what you should believe in, or who you should like vote for, things like that. Very political stuff, followed by your skin color. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. You can have any sort of different opinion.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, but what you just said, that you need to act this way, or you should act this way because of your skin color, that isn't that like, it's racism 101? Like, I look at you and you look this way, therefore I expect that you will do this, this, and this. That is literally racism, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, isn't that not a clear cut as it comes? And that's what a lot of these intersectional ideologues exactly is what they're doing. When they talk about not just white vegans, but they talk about POC vegans, and they say things like, you should talk to POC vegans. And it's like, well, POC vegans aren't one big, a group that just all thinks the same. Like, for example, they probably wouldn't send people to talk to you because you don't have the right opinions, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, the same with, I've got a few friends actually who fall into that same category of, I hate the word POC, by the way. I think that's like, it's just a new way of saying colored person, which I think is, that is also not a, I don't agree with either way of saying it, to be honest, but that's what people say these days, POC. But like, I know other people fall into that category who also don't hold the right opinions. So it's crazy how you get, they're trying to stereotype it, and that is quite literally that's racism, and that's what they're trying to be against whilst doing it. I don't really get it, And let's talk about your views on intersectionality as well in a bit more kind of a more focused point. So the kind of running commentary from this group of individuals, apart from the fucking racism, is that we have to be intersectional, and we have to actively talk about all of the different issues that different people face in society, as well as animal rights. Otherwise, that we aren't good, right? That then we are a white vegan if we don't do that, and that's bad. White is bad. Like, that's pretty much what they're getting at. A really interesting point that you made in one of your videos You asked, does this only count for vegans? Right. This is I loved this point. I wanted you to explain it a bit more. As in, you said if you stopped being vegan tomorrow, right? You as in, like if you said if I stopped being vegan tomorrow, would I get a free pass to not talk about these other issues then? Right?
Yeah.
Or is it because I'm vegan that I have to? So talk us through
Yeah.
like the kind of what you're getting at here, like the kind of logic behind that point.
Yeah, so they're basically claiming that you're a white vegan by their definition, meaning that you ignore all these other injustices if you don't, focus on them, and that Jesus, I just got lost. That if you're like, wait, what was it
It's all
about?
right. So the point was that they were saying that they were saying
Oh,
that vegans need to talk about all these things, and you said,
oh, yeah,
well,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
what if
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
vegan? Do I not have to then? And I just wanted you
yeah.
to kind
So,
of elaborate a bit on that.
yeah, so they're saying that vegans have to be decolonized, anti-imperialist, things like that, anti-racist, and it's like, okay, so if I quit being vegan tomorrow, does that make me any less qualified to be any of those things, to be any against any of those other injustices? So because I start supporting the biggest injustice, which is in fact what animals endure, it's the biggest injustice ever. That makes me, more qualified to start supporting these other injustices. What kind of logic is that? It's not logically consistent, and it's just another reason why these people will not engage in a debate with this type of stuff with anyone. But they can use their platforms to talk about anything and spread any type of false like information, and then the anti-vegans love that. They love the controversy in veganism because it's just going to deflect animal rights. So they're going to
Yeah.
like it up, and it's going to go viral and things like that. As you saw with that video, I think you replied to it. That one
Yeah.
guy talking about veganism was a byproduct of colonization. It was completely insane. And
Yeah,
that guy
man.
has actually been exposed for not even being. He's actually Mexican. He wasn't
Yeah.
even like whatever race he was saying he was, and he's also a sexist. That guy
Yeah,
was
yeah.
saying that women should be in the kitchen. That's where they need to be, and things like that. Not a good guy at all whatsoever. So,
No,
but
man.
still, his video went viral. It went viral because he's talking down on veganism, and people want to deflect the idea of animal rights. That's all they want to do.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Definitely. That guy, yeah, I found out about him not being he claimed he was acting like a Native American. That was his whole thing. The way he was dressing, the way he was talking like about, always talking about the native people. You would assume that he was a Native American. And it turned out, yeah, that he was actually Mexican and is chatting shit. And yeah, the sexism stuff, he was saying he was calling women woman woman with like as in like the womb, which I don't think by itself is the worst thing in the world. That's I think I heard that's actually where the word woman came from, so like okay, whatever. But yeah, when he was saying that like they should stay in the kitchen and look after the man, that's what they're built for, basically. It was like, dude, really? Is that and I pointed that out in my video to make sure people fucking knew this viral shit, that you've got to look into these people and the rest of the opinions they hold. And also, even the argument he made by itself without that is just terrible. So it's not like he had a great argument and that was the only thing wrong. It's like, no, the dude was full of shit all around. And now these are the ideologues, the intersectional ideologues. They were they're well known. We mentioned it earlier. They're well known for publicly attacking other vegans online, right? This is like they launch campaigns, they launch petitions against people. They launched petitions against James Aspie, trying to get him banned off social media. It's like, what the fuck, man? I still can't believe they did that. And I say they, like I'm talking about the specific, like they might not. It's not like they're all friends and they all know each other. I'm just talking about like ideologues in general, individual ideologues, or sometimes they work together. Whatever, they come out and they do this shit, and they try and ruin people's reputations. Now, like you mentioned that you've had that, and do you think that came? How did that happen, man? Like, what did it just come out of nowhere that someone came after you, or did you say something and somebody retaliated? Like, what happened? How did that go with you?
Like the false accusations that they were making against me.
Yeah, yeah. What happened?
Yes, so it was something that happened a while ago regarding other people. It was anti-vegans, as you can imagine. I
Right.
tried to reason with this Jewish girl, and I made a video about this. That's regarding my video about animal agriculture and the term Holocaust,
Okay.
whatever. So basically, I was being nice to her, and trying to reason with her about the word because she's calling me anti-Semitic and stuff. And I made this
Yeah.
video calling, I made this video on TikTok calling. It was like when I first got into TikTok, and I was still getting a feel for it. And it just got like a bunch of views at once. And people, and she's like, was one of the first ones to do edit
Right.
and like countering it or whatever and saying like, oh, you're anti-Semitic if you call animal agriculture a Holocaust. And I wasn't even comparing it. All I did was say that animal agriculture was a Holocaust. It wasn't even like a comparison.
Right.
And so I deleted the video as she asked. Okay, I said, okay, if it means that much to you, I'll delete it. And I said, and then she said, you need to publicly apologize. I said,
Oh.
okay, send me to anyone who was offended by this, and I'll apologize to them privately. And she didn't. She never did that.
Yeah.
But instead, she just kept like trying to tell me what I need to do. Like, oh, you need to publicly apologize instead of just giving me the account of anyone I offended, because I really didn't offend anyone. They're just anti-vegan, selfish. But after that, I kept trying to reason with her, and she just kept cussing me out, kept deflecting. So I did it back to her. I got mad. I did it back to her. It's like, I'm being respectful to you, and then you're going to disregard that completely? Okay, so I did it back to her. She ended up blocking me and then sharing these messages that were taken out of context by another vegan. So I have all these anti-vegans ganging up on me for something that wasn't a big deal, for saying that animal agriculture is a Holocaust, which by definition it is. These people just need to educate themselves. But then to have a vegan so close-minded that they share the messages in which I insulted them when I was being insulted first. Yeah. And not only that, but the person insulting me was literally like an adult. She's 20 years old. I mean, she looks and acts like she's like 14 or 15, but she was an adult cussing out a minor. And like, really? I'm the victim in this situation. And then to have another vegan like who has a lot of mutual friends and followers with you share these messages, and when you get mad, and just take it out of context. And I had people unfollow me from that. It's messed up. Like,
man.
You do that to other animal rights activists. That's the most harmful thing, is when you have animal rights activists going against each other. That's just insane. It should never get to that.
Yeah, man. I for sure. I think something I've learned along like a couple of years ago. I learned this really fucking valuable lesson that I guess you learned also through this experience. It's always better when we learn this ourselves. I think other people can tell you, but you don't know until it happens to you, right? And what happened? As something happened to me similarly. I also like, oh, I'll apologize. We've got to understand that if you did nothing wrong, don't apologize. Like if I've not done anything wrong, right? And I don't think I've done anything wrong, and they think I've done something wrong, I will not apologize, because when you apologize, you open the floodgate. When you give in to them, they will come for blood, man. They smell it. They smell weakness. When you say sorry, they're like fucking wolves, man. Like they smell the blood. They're like, fuck yeah, we've got an apology, or we've got them to remove the video. Now let's get them to do another video, publicly apologize. And once they've done that, now let's get them to, like, I don't know, do another thing. Let's get them to tag a list of fucking people that I think they should tag, right? Let's get them to promote other people. And let's, once we're done, let's get them to shut down their account. Like this is the logic these people go by. They love the power. They fucking love the power. They love to manipulate you and get you to do what they want you to do, man. So, it's really, I honestly, I can't stress this enough. For anyone watching, including you, dude, if this ever happens again and you don't think you did anything wrong, just ignore them. Don't even respond, man. Just like, yeah, you could read it or you could just delete it and just move the fuck on. And obviously take some self-awareness. Like, obviously, if you think, oh, maybe I did do something wrong, it's up to you how you handle it, right? But if you genuinely don't think, like, you've listened, you've paid attention, you're like, all right, I've listened to them, I've thought about it, I stand by what I said. Don't fucking delete the video. Move on, man. That's the biggest advice I can give you. And you can see videos on my channel, to give you a bit of an idea. There's many videos that I could have been forced to delete, especially I got fired over one of them, dude. I got fired. I got fucking cancelled out. I got people, the organization I worked with sent emails out about me saying I was racist, like basically saying not saying I was racist, but like inferring strongly that I was racist, all because of one video on my channel. And I stand by that video 100%. I stand by everything I said in that video 100%. And I won't fucking delete that video. And I'm happy to lose my job over it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's the way it is. Like, I won't back down. And I think we definitely need more of that. Don't let these people push us around and bully us, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that video, if if you want to see that, if anyone wants to see that video, it's on my channel. It just says, I can't even fucking remember the title of that video. It's not even a controversial video. It was, it's on my channel somewhere. Basically, all that was said in that video, it was around the time where the BLM movement was blowing up last year. And everyone was talking about it. Everyone was posting about it. Everybody was like, and there was a lot of vegans pressuring other vegans to do something, right? Really pressuring that, saying like, if you don't post the black square, then, you know, fuck you. And if you don't stand up and say something now, then you're, you know, fuck you. Like you're not a good person or whatever. And I found that to be just a really, really shit way of pressuring people who are animal rights activists who spend like 99% of their time fighting for the animals. And now you're going to put this shit on them. Like it's, you know, it's not fair to pressure people to if they're already dealing with a problem, don't pressure them to deal with other problems. As long as they're not fucking contributing to the problem, leave them to deal with their shit. And if they find that they have time, if they find that they want to get involved in helping this other problem, then that's their choice. You shouldn't be pressuring people. So all I said was, if you want to be an animal rights activist, great, but don't be a racist, don't be a sexist, and you know, don't contribute to anyone else's shit. If you want to focus on another issue, awesome. Then just don't abuse animals, right? If you want to focus on human issues, then don't be an animal abuser. If you want to focus on everything, you're a fucking god. You're amazing. I have the utmost respect for you. That is incredible. That's all I said, basically. That was it. Like, you can do, you do whichever, as long as you're not harming other people. And that video got me all this shit. And I refused to delete it. I refused to walk back on it. And, yeah, I'm still alive, man. So, you know, it didn't go so badly. So just as an example. These same people, right? Probably the same kind of people, the same kind of vegan that came after you. They've also come after Earthling Ed. They come after Joey Carbstrong. They come after activists or YouTubers like Freely, for example, Vegan Gains, more controversial, you know, saying some more controversial stuff. They come after them as well. Why do you think that these people are focusing so much of their energy, seemingly like all of their energy, on trying to defame and attack the most popular vegans, as opposed to, I don't know, for example, trying to take on some of the most popular anti-vegans, or like, you know, the Gordon Ramsays of the world? Why do you think they're spending all their energy on Earthling Ed or Joey, as opposed to like Gordon Ramsay or Sverige, right? What do you think is the logic behind this?
Well, it's clear. I mean, you see the passion that these guys talk with. You see their outreach, their activism, and how well they do these speeches and things like that. Those are definitely people that you would want fighting for you. You know, if you were, you know, like as far as racism, if you were the victim, those are the type of people you want fighting on your behalf. You know, they're very well outspoken. That's really just the answer. They're very well outspoken, and they want to draw that type of, you know, attention back onto their movement, basically. I mean, if you're talking about like the intersectional specifically, or you talking about like, oh yeah, that's definitely why. They're just great voices, you know. They're very well outspoken people, and those are the type of people that you would want in your movement, speaking up for, you know, to be anti-racist or, you know, feminist type thing. Those are the type of people you want, for sure.
Got it. So you think it's like a power play? They want to pressure those people, those big accounts, those big speakers, into doing what they want them to do, because then it will benefit their movement.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. That's an interesting way of looking at it. In the past, I would have said that, I would have assumed that it was because they just want to gain fame and notoriety through their fame. But you take that a step further and you say, actually, yeah, that's probably also part of it, but it's because they want that fame and notoriety to promote the things that they believe in, and get them to also promote the things that they believe in. So it's like a double whammy. They get the fame from calling them out, because people are like, oh my God, drama. And then that person maybe even gets pressured into joining them. So it's like a double win-win, right? For these people, if that happens. In your videos also, you talk about one thing you mentioned, a statement you made. You said, we need to reclaim the vegan or animal rights movement. What does that mean to you, like reclaiming it? What does that mean to you?
Well, it just means that we need to be consistent. You know, if we're going to say that BLM is just about supporting Black lives. We just have to say that animal rights slash veganism, which I'd say is the same thing, is about animals only. And if you want to intersect, then do that. Be consistent on both sides, though. Encourage your Black friends. Hey, look, this is what the animals are going through. You want to shed some light on this? They're oppressed. They're being killed on a mass scale. Do you want to shed some light on this and things like that? But not just go to vegans saying you need to shed some light on my Black friend is being discriminated against. But forget the animals. My opinion is just the only one that matters. My friends are just the only one that matters. So, you know, just when it comes to something that they care about, it's like they're just inconsiderate of the animals, things like that. It's really gross. It's very inconsistent. It's really gross.
Yeah, it's like well, it's speciesism, right? It's really, really, really prevalent, and it's I think it's in all of us. I mean, we're all speciesist at certain levels, but as vegans, we're doing our best to try to eradicate the harmful speciesism and obviously work on the non-harmful speciesism. Like, for example, we're vegan because we don't believe these animals deserve what they go through simply because they're a different species, and we're not going to pay for that. But then some people will still insult another person by saying, "Oh, you're a pig." It's not very harmful. It's not great, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not going to cause as much harm as eating the pig would, right? And in this case, I think this speciesism we're talking about here, where people are kind of like they're vegan or vegan, right? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but they're claiming they're vegan, but then they are holding human issues above non-human issues. They're kind of in the middle because that is harmful. It's not as harmful as eating them and using them, but it's still giving us all of this idea that we are more important than them, and that's when it does become, it's pretty harmful. Like, it's definitely up there, isn't it? It's supporting all these other people who are not vegan, who believe that, and they see a vegan who also believes that, and it's like, oh, okay, great. So they are less than us. It keeps on giving people that same idea. So I'd say it is quite harmful. Yeah, and there are probably many people watching today, like 68 people watching right now. And I would say, like, most of the people that are going to be watching this, if they're subscribed to me at least, they're probably reasonable people. Otherwise, they wouldn't be subscribed to me. They would most likely have tried to cancel me. When they come up against these ideologues, these intersectional ideologues, right, which they will do, and if they may have already done, what do you think is the best way they can deal with it? Like, when someone comes after them, right? What do you think they could do, or when it comes after them? But they meet someone in the wild. A wild ideologue appears, right? And they're like, you need to do this, that, this, that. What do you think, in your opinion, is the best way to like deal with that situation?
Well, there's two things you can do. You can challenge them to a public talk, which they'll most likely not agree with. And then you can also challenge to their consistency. So if you hold this set of values for this issue, do you hold this set of values for this other issue? And they might deflect it, they might ignore it, but that just shows that they're dishonest. They're not trustworthy in what they believe. So that's what I'd say, dude. Challenge them to a public talk / debate, discussion, whatever. Just have them discuss it with you, have a civil conversation about it and things like that. And if they're not, willing to do that, then they're not reasonable people. They're just dishonest. And also challenge their consistency.
That's good, man. That's good advice. I think I would add to that if you are going to get into this with someone, you'll probably, I don't know. For me, I spot the warning signs quite early on. If somebody is, I've learned what to look for to see if someone's going to go down that road of trying to like cancel me out, basically. And sometimes someone pops up in your inbox and it's clear that they're looking for some screenshots, right? They're trying to bait you. I don't know if you've had this yet. Well, you did have that, but you didn't. Obviously, they got you, right? They've got me before too. They kind of bait you into saying things that they know they can fuck you on, that they can take you out of context and share across the world, right? So I've taken the position now where it's like there's so much shit that I've said in videos now that there's practically nothing I could say in text that would be worse than what I've said in videos. I've kind of crossed that line where it's like I say what I think now and that's it. But my point is the way to spot it, I would say, is that. I don't know. It's difficult to spot actually, but once you've, I guess it kind of has to happen to you. But you'll notice that they'll try to like corner you. They'll ask rhetorical questions, or questions that you can't really answer in a good way. Like they'll put you in a corner where it's like no matter what you say, or if you don't agree with them, you're gonna look bad, basically, right? So they'll phrase a question like that. So it's kind of like I call it, it's a dirty tactic that a lot of vegans actually use on non-vegans. They'll say things like, I don't know, are you against animal abuse? And they'll say yes. And then they'll say, right, so why do you kill animals for food then? It's a dirty tactic. It doesn't really work. And it makes someone not trust you. It's true. Don't get, in this case, it's actually a valid thing to say, but it's not a good way of doing it because they'll start to miss. So these kind of individuals tend to do the same thing. They'll kind of put you in a corner. Like, I don't know. You're not a racist, right? No, I'm not a racist, right? So then why don't you talk about BLM? And then they make it out that you not talking about BLM means that you're a racist. And then pretty much anything you say from that moment on, you're kind of fucked, right? Because you try and justify why you've not spoken about it. Doesn't matter. They'll screenshot it. They'll say it. They'll be like, look, this person's anti-BLM, which means they're a racist. And this is, you got to be aware of these kind of traps they'll get you into. And if you're going to have a discussion like VegCeps suggested, make sure that it has an audience. I'd say do it live, do it over a voice call, so that at least it's harder for them to take parts of it and fuck you with it if you're going to do it. Or, as I said already, the world is full of people. Who gives a shit if you ignore one or two of them? You know, like if they message you and then you're like, I don't want to fucking talk about this, just delete the message. Life is too short to waste time on things that you don't see being productive, right? If it's not productive, there's no point to it. You're not going to change their mind. You don't want to change their mind. If they're already a vegan and you know your focus is helping people go vegan, fuck it, move on. Yes, don't even bother responding. You know, same advice I give to you, man. Yeah. But look, I think we're crossing the hour mark now. I think it's been pretty productive. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover, man. I really appreciate you coming on to talk about this. And again, I appreciate you dealing with the shit in the beginning. And I really appreciate you standing up and putting your opinions out there as strongly as you are. There are many people who don't dare to say the things that you're saying, including me just 6 months ago, man. I would never have dared to have this conversation live. It's so fucking scary out there with people coming after you and shit. But I see you've crossed the line of giving a shit. I also have crossed that line. I don't give a shit anymore. It's like things need to be spoken about, you know, as long as it's logical, reasonable. So I really respect you for coming out and you know, continuing to talk about these topics, man, and especially coming on here as well to bring it up and to get into it with me. What can we expect?
Really appreciate that.
What can we expect from you, man? From moving forward, like what are you up to now? What's going on with your channel, your social media?
Same as usual. Like going forward as far as activism, I'm really just trying to get involved with something in person,
Yeah,
something of that sort, which is why I started this PETA SOS hub, and I'm trying to get something done with that. So
cool, man.
as far as like creating content online, educational content that I think is going to resonate with other people, that's always going to be something I'm going to do and just put out regardless of how much, you know, how I guess you could call it receives. You know, this is something I'm going to be doing regardless. But going forward, hopefully I can do some stuff in person, and the videos and content as far as that, it's going to keep going, and also sharing my unpopular opinions as a colored vegan. Yeah.
I fucking, oh man, I hate those fucking terms, man. POC
Yeah.
and like
You know,
I think that, yeah,
because, like, something else that we didn't really touch on was like how if you're a colored vegan and you support like this, they'll try and like cancel you out as a black person too. And I know you had
yeah.
panda noodles on your stream as well.
I
That's
had who?
exactly
Sorry.
what
Oh, Panda
panda
Noodles.
noodles.
Yeah. Mariana. Yeah.
So we've both gotten blocked by these intersectional vegans or whatever, black vegans specifically, because you know they just want nothing to do with us, and they don't want our black opinions to be voiced, but theirs to be voiced. You know, so as long as you disagree with them, you're basically their enemy, regardless of your skin color.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you're the same skin color, like what can they say? Can they say that you're a racist against someone else who's your same skin color? You know,
Yeah, man.
do it.
Doesn't make any sense. You know, we could maybe do like a collab. Because I know obviously Mariana's having the same shit, and I know another guy, Aditya. Do you know Aditya? Cosmic Rationalist on Instagram. He's an Indian vegan activist as well, and he's getting the same shit that you guys are getting. He's an indigenous Indian, and yeah, he's getting equally called out for shit that he's because he doesn't have the right opinion. So maybe we could do like a big collab where we all get together and just kind of like vent this shit out, and talk about your experiences, what you've been going through, how people have been coming after you for not having the right opinions, let's say, for your skin tone, as in that's what you should have a certain way of the world. We've seen the world because of the way you look, and like that would be, I think it would be really interesting to get all of your opinions and together and have that. That would be a cool discussion, I think. Well, not cool, eye-opening, I think there's the right way to describe that.
For sure, I'd definitely be down for that. And specifically, Are you talking about the guy that runs the account Global Veganism?
Yes. Yeah.
I was planning on doing something with him. Like we're not really planning, but we were down with it, and like if any time we wanted to, or something like that. But yeah, he's a really cool dude. I would definitely be down with that, especially with Panda Noodles. Really cool people.
Awesome, man. Yeah, definitely. We'll do a group chat, man, and see if we can get something arranged and get like a proper plan for it, because we don't want to just repeat ourselves from today's chat. We need to have a proper we'll have a proper plan. We'll come up with something that's good, that will be interesting and like I said, enlightening, eye-opening for people, and we'll hash it out. Yeah, I think it would be good to vent it out really and get into it. A few people are, one second, just to clarify something. A few people are having a problem with when I said indigenous Indian. I didn't mean Native American. I know the difference. He's actually from India, and he's an indigenous Indian from India. Okay, he's like, I'm not that fucking stupid, guys. All right, give me some fucking respect. I've seen a few people in here someone made a claim earlier. David, you talk about things that you haven't researched. Do you know how much shit I've read about the topics that we're going into now? How many people I've spoken to? You think I'm so stupid to bring someone on to discuss this without actually researching it first? I've read papers on intersectionality, guys. I've done multiple videos on the topic. I have no issue with intersectionality. I've got issues with ideologues, which is why we're talking about ideologues. Shouldn't have to fucking explain this, but I feel like this is the thing that people look at me and they're like, oh, this white guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just another fucking whatever, another person who's just like chatting shit about intersectionals. It's like, no, a lot of people are chatting shit about them because of the shit we've discussed here and because we know it's bullshit, That's what's going on, guys. All right. So anyway, good point to close on. We got a contribution, by the way. Just to let you know, Mark donated $5. Says, thank you, David Rams and VegCeps, for your work. By the way, racism is stupid and adolescent. We're all members of one family, black, white, pink, or green. Stop eating animals. Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate the contribution, and that's a great way to end. Actually, it's a nice quote to finish up on. Do you have anything you'd like to say, dude, before we close up?
No, I think he cleared that up. I think he cleared that up. Don't be racist and don't contribute to the Holocaust of animals. So be against all discrimination, not just one. Don't pick and choose one discrimination to be against and go and support another. If you're going to be against discrimination, just be against discrimination. Okay, that includes animals. So I think that's a good way to end this.
Definitely, man. Well, thanks so much, everybody. Don't forget to smash that like button. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. Make sure you leave some comments down below in the main comment section, because that gets things going. And also the live chat is going to be removed from this video because I'm going to have to go and edit it and cut out all the... So please make sure you come back and comment in the main comment section so it doesn't look like we just talked for an hour to fucking no one, because that's what it'll look like if you don't get in the main comments and leave some comments. Thanks everybody for tuning in. See you all in the next video.